We're here today with our law enforcement partners to announce federal criminal charges related to the death of the actor Matthew Perry. Following Mr. Perry's death in October of last year, law enforcement, my office, and our partners represented on this stage began an in-depth, wide-ranging investigation. That investigation has revealed a broad, underground criminal network responsible for distributing large quantities of ketamine to Mr. Perry and others. This network included a live-in assistant, various go-betweens, 2 medical doctors, and a major source of drug supply known as, quote, the Ketamine Queen. We charged 5 defendants in this matter. These defendants took advantage of Mr. Perry's addiction issues to enrich themselves. They knew what they were doing was wrong. They knew what they were doing was risking great danger to Mr. Perry, but they did it anyways. In the end, these defendants were more interested in profiting off Mr. Perry than caring for his well-being. Ketamine is a controlled substance. It has some legitimate uses, but it is also used illegally. It is used by people seeking to disassociate from reality. It can cause serious health effects, serious health problems, including loss of consciousness, including spikes in blood pressure, and including respiratory issues that can deprive the brain of oxygen. For that reason, it is a drug that must be administered by medical professionals, and the patient must be monitored closely. That did not occur here. This investigation focused on who supplied the ketamine to Mr. Perry. As many of you know, Mr. Perry struggled with addiction in the past. And on many occasions, he sought help for his addiction issues. The investigation revealed that in the fall of 2023, Mr. Perry fell back into addiction, and these defendants took advantage to profit for themselves. The 2 lead defendants in this case are defendants Salvador Plasencia and defendant Jasvin Sanya. Over 2 months, from September to October 2023, they distributed approximately 20 vials of ketamine to Mr. Perry in exchange for $55,000 in cash. Defendant Plasencia saw this as an opportunity to profit off of Mr. Perry. He wrote in a text message in September 2023, quote, "I wonder how much this moron will pay." He also stated in text messages that he wanted to be Mr. Perry's sole source of supply. He wrote in a text message that he wanted to be Mr. Perry's, quote, go-to for drugs. As a doctor, defendant Plasencia knew full well the danger of what he was doing. In fact, on one occasion, he injected Mr. Perry with ketamine, and he saw Mr. Perry freeze up and his blood pressure spike. Despite that, he left additional vials of ketamine for defendant Iwamasa to administer to Mr. Perry.
5 individuals, including 2 doctors, a live-in assistant, and an alleged drug dealer dubbed the Ketamine Queen, have been arrested in connection with the overdose death of Matthew Perry. The arrests were made on Thursday, with the suspects accused of being part of a broad underground criminal network that supplied the Friends star with the ketamine that led to his tragic death in October 2023. The suspects include Dr. Salvador Plasencia, 42, and Mark Chavez, 54, alleged drug dealers Jasvin Ketamine Queen Sunga, 41, and Eric Fleming, 54, and Perry's live-in assistant, Kenneth Iwamasa, 59. Prosecutors have charged them with exploiting Perry's vulnerability due to his addiction, with evidence suggesting the doctors referred to him as a moron in cruel text messages where they discussed how to further take advantage of him. Perry was found unresponsive in the hot tub of his Los Angeles home on October 28, 2023, by Iwamasa. The cause of death was determined to be the acute effects of ketamine. Iwamasa has since admitted to administering the fatal doses to Perry after receiving training from Plasencia. Court documents allege that Iwamasa injected Perry with 27 shots of ketamine over 5 days. Prosecutors argued that Sunga's distribution of the substance on October 4, 2023, ultimately led to Perry's death. Sunga's home, described as a drugs emporium, was raided by federal law enforcement in March 2024. Photos published by prosecutors revealed large quantities of drugs, including thousands of pills and kilograms of powder. During the raid, agents seized 1,978 grams of orange pills that tested positive for methamphetamine, 79 bottles containing a clear liquid identified as ketamine, and various other narcotics. A handgun was also found among the seized items, and Sunga's phone contained incriminating messages about selling double-strength ketamine. Sunga, who holds dual U.S. and British citizenship, now faces multiple drug-related charges linked to supplying the ketamine that resulted in Perry's death. An affidavit filed in a Los Angeles federal court by DEA agent Tyler Abrego on March 20 detailed the raid on Sunga's home and the subsequent discoveries. The criminal complaint described her as a large-volume drug dealer known to the DEA, LAPD homicide detectives, and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. The investigation revealed text messages on Sunga's phone about selling pressed methamphetamine pills and ketamine. In one conversation in March 2024, Sunga requested a payment of $958.51 via PayPal for ketamine and warned the buyer that the product was double strength. Videos recovered from her phone showed her cooking ketamine, according to DEA agent Abrego. At a press conference, U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada outlined Perry's descent into ketamine addiction, which began with legally prescribed treatments for anxiety and depression. Over time, Perry became increasingly desperate for the drug, resorting to street vendors when he could no longer obtain it through legitimate channels. The indictment against the defendants claims they made tens of thousands of dollars by selling the narcotic to the troubled star. Plasencia and Chavez allegedly exploited Perry's addiction by charging exorbitant prices for the drug. In one instance, they charged Perry $2,000 for a vial of ketamine that cost only $12. Text messages between the two doctors in Awamasa showed them conspiring to supply Perry with the drug, with Plasencia expressing a desire to become Perry's go-to for ketamine. In one message, Plasencia referred to Perry as a moron and speculated about how much money they could extract from him. The indictment also alleges that the defendants attempted to cover up their involvement after Perry's death. Sunga reportedly sent a message to Fleming instructing him to delete all our messages after the news of Perry's death broke. Plasencia faces 7 counts of ketamine distribution and 2 counts of falsifying records related to the federal investigation. The other 3 defendants were charged separately, with 2 having pleaded guilty, while a third has agreed to plead guilty. Fleming admitted to obtaining ketamine from Sunga and distributing it to Awamasa, who then administered the drug to Perry. One particularly disturbing incident described in the indictment involved Plasencia meeting Awamasa in a Long Beach parking lot, where he injected Perry with ketamine inside a vehicle. 2 days later, Plasencia administered another large dose of ketamine at Perry's home, causing the actor's blood pressure to spike and his body to freeze up. Despite recognizing the danger, Plasencia left additional vials of ketamine with Awamasa for further injections. Chavez, who admitted to diverting supplies from his clinic to Plasencia through fake prescriptions, has been charged under a plea agreement. He is scheduled to be arraigned on August 30, 2024, and faces up to 10 years in federal prison. DEA Administrator and Milgram emphasized the defendants' responsibility for Perry's death, stating that they played key roles in the actor's tragic end by falsely prescribing, selling, or injecting the ketamine that ultimately killed him. She highlighted the dangers posed by unscrupulous doctors and street dealers who exploit vulnerable individuals for profit. Perry had been open about his struggles with substance abuse, revealing in 2022 that he had spent $9 million on 15 rehab stays. At the time of his death, he had not received a prescribed ketamine treatment for over a week. The amount of ketamine found in his system was consistent with levels used for general anesthesia during surgery, and it was listed as the primary cause of death, which was ruled accidental. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more updates on celebrity deaths and news updates.